Some leaders leave footprints, others leave libraries. You're tuning into the Authors on Mission podcast, where industry giants become literacy legends. In every episode, we talk with authors who turn their brilliance into books that transform lives. I'm Danielle Hutchinson, your host and Chief Creative Officer at Authors on Mission. Welcome to your authorship experience. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Authors on Mission podcast. Today, we're flipping the script a little bit. A few weeks ago, I had the pleasure of being interviewed on the Builders podcast, and now we're turning the tables and welcoming the host to our show, the Authors on Mission podcast. Matt Levenhagen is a man who knows that beautiful web design and strategic partnerships don't just happen by accident. You have to build them with intention, just like you build a great book. He's transformed from an freelancer to an agency owner, helping businesses shine while creating his own story along the way. We're going to talk all about his guidebook and his mission and his ideas on today's episode. So please join me in welcoming Matt from Unified Web Design to the podcast. Welcome to the show.
Great to be here, Danielle. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. We had such a fun conversation on your show, and I thought that our authors could really benefit from hearing your insights. So before we get started, though, let's learn a little bit more about you. To anybody here who hasn't already listened to the Builders podcast, which you should definitely do and check out after this show, let's learn a little bit about Matt. Matt, you had a huge career pivot in your early 40s. That's what you mentioned to me. So what was that like, and what prompted you to change direction and toward web designs?
Yeah, so I'm kind of aging myself here a little bit. Like, we're in your early 40s. Like, how old are you now? I'm 70. No, I'm not. I'm 54, so it was about 14 years ago. But yeah, so I have a long and storied many decades of like different businesses and stuff I was in. Everything from early 90s, I was trying to be an artist, painting on canvas, to getting in the insurance business, and then the contracting thing, painting houses and fixing houses. And then I found the internet about 2003, and I built a website actually for my insurance business, and then discovered everything going on online and how to make money online and build products and affiliate marketing, all that stuff. But through that all, I always liked tech. I always liked, I'm a bit of a nerd that way. I like computers. That's why I love the idea of staying at home and working from here on the internet. But I also kind of had this thread of creativity, from being that artist to through everything I did, even in the 2000s when I was doing internet marketing. To do that, I built a lot of my own websites, my own membership areas, my own products. And a lot of those products were actually digital products, info products. So I got a lot of experience building kind of guides and selling those online. Many of them started as just small reports or, like short little guides. And one for sure turned into something pretty major. It became a large guide that actually was the foundation of a membership, and I sold thousands of those online, and it was around affiliate marketing, PPC, and that kind of stuff. So, but through all that, what happened was in those years, a lot of the methods I was using to promote what we were doing and what I was teaching, which was the pay-per-click ad, back then Google AdWords, affiliate marketing, a lot changed in those years. And so around that 40 mark, which is actually probably more like 41, around 2012, I kind of got, I wouldn't say burned out, but I kind of got to a point where I was struggling a lot to do what I was already doing. I was having to work way too hard to promote my products using the methods I'd always been using. And Google kind of beat me up over the years. And so it was harder to teach what I was doing. It was harder to do what I was doing. And I needed to kind of reach that point where it was like, I need to change. I'd been doing a lot. I even talked on what I did. I did seminars and, had a lot of stuff out there, but sometimes you just, what the time is to exit. So, but what am I going to do? And I tried for a few years, actually trying to pivot to other things in the advertising world or marketing or whatever. But none of those things really stuck, and nothing I was really passionate about. And about around 2012, I really had to sit down and figure out what I was going to do. And I look back at all those years and everything I did and what I enjoyed the most. And one of the things I enjoyed the most was actually the building of those websites. And I would spend, way too much time like tweaking and trying to build a sales page or whatever, or just a website. And I had a lot of fun doing that. And little things would bother me. Like I'd see somebody else have a site and their button wasn't just right. Like, I wish I could fix that.
Right.
And what I ended up doing was I decided, you know what, I'm going to try this freelancing thing. I've been building websites and building stuff for myself all these years. What if I flipped it and, started doing that for other people? And that's when freelancing came along. So I kind of dove in, did some freelancing and started working, and the story kind of develops from there.
Got it. Well, this is a perfect segue, I think, for us to talk about website design in terms of authorship, because, people write their books and they think all they need to do is get it onto the shelves, that it's going to sell 1 million copies, right? But there's more than that. And one of the most important things I think any author could have is that landing page, which you built for yourself and you helped many others do through your business. So tell us more a little bit about that, because it's a huge thing that I think a lot of authors might overlook.
Yeah. So if we're talking like back then or today, right? So today I have a guide that I wrote recently this past year. I'm finally getting back into info stuff again. I always think about when I'm going to have some kind of info product or an ebook or a book or whatever it ends up being, like, how am I going to distribute it? How am I going to get it out there? How are people going to find it? And how are people going to buy it? And so that always kind of does start with the landing page. When I first started, like if we go back to, I was talking about that one info product that did kind of blow up a little bit. That started out as a small report. I actually belonged to some communities back then. And somebody actually talked to me. I was always sharing what I was doing, the successes I was having around PPC, around AdWords. And it's like, you should write a report on that or something and sell it instead of giving it all away for free. So to do that, I had to build a landing page. So I could create it. I created it, wrote it. I think it was only like 25 pages or something. But now what am I going to do with it? Like I want to promote it on these forums. I want to promote it. They had like a special forum where you could promote stuff you were doing. I'm going to send traffic to it. Where am I sending that traffic? And so it's just a matter of buying a domain and putting up a simple landing page. And initially, it probably wasn't that complicated. It was probably more like, I don't know if someone listening would understand what a squeeze page is. It has different names over the years, but basically a very simple page where it's like, here's an image of like the ebook or the product, or the book, and then some bullets, what the topic is, a nice headline, and then a way to get it, either a buy button or, however you do that. Keeping it really simple and to the point, just a couple bullets that really sells it. Now, of course, the traffic I was sending to that page was qualified. They already knew me and stuff. So there's that. But you have to have some kind of place to deliver that product. Now, there's third-party places and you can sell stuff on Amazon and everything today, but you can also just sell it through yourself. You can it doesn't have to be complicated. It could be just PayPal. Just put a PayPal button on there and then you deliver it. You can deliver it manually, but there's also more complicated ways to do it. And then over time, what ended up happening with that is, because it did well, I sold probably 300 copies the first week. And then we back-ended, I actually partnered with some people, we back-ended a membership. And so that was the other thing too, that with this whole thing was like, what happens when I sell it? Am I going to build a list? What are we going to do with these new customers afterwards? So we ended up launching a membership. We called it Web Profit School at the time. And Web Profit School was the back end. At the end of that report was a call to action. Say, hey, if you like this content, come join us here. And then that sales page or that landing page expanded. It became more detailed as the ebook itself expanded. And eventually, when I was selling it at the end, it was like version 7. It was about 200 pages, and it had supporting guides and everything with it. But yeah, I mean that's it. I mean, but there was always a landing page, and then eventually I got affiliates, and affiliates would drive traffic to that landing page, and I had to learn how to write copy and sell that product on those pages. But that's it in a nutshell. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be, perfect, but it has to be somewhere where you can drive that traffic and convert it and play around with the headline and just, do what you need to do there.
Right. So it sounds to me then there's a couple things that you need to be looking out for to make sure that your landing page is exactly what you need in order to promote your book and continue to grow your brand. And from what you've said, it sounds like, you just need that basic page. It can be simple. You just need an image of your book, maybe some, verbiage to give a good idea for what the book's about. And then the main important thing is a call to action is from what I've gathered here is that you need that payment method. It could be simple, just like a PayPal or Venmo, or more complicated methods. And then as you described, authors, all we need to do then from there is once you have that simple start, you keep expanding upon it as your book expands, keep writing that copy to sell the product. And then there you go. You have an amazing resource to direct your audience to make them learn more about you and what you have to offer. I think that's, a very good, detailed, simple overview of what it all entails. I know there's a lot more to it, but I'm sure Unified Web Design has a huge array of resources beyond that too. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. But I think the main thing here is just to keep it simple. You don't have to, I think it'd be very easy to overthink it. Like I have to build out this big website and my about section and my contact page and my this and that. But really, to get started, you just have to, get a graphic created for you can go out to different places like Upwork or wherever to get a graphic made, like just an image of your book, and adding that, and then, like I said, those bullets and just something simple. And a call to action is just, a button that says buy now, get it here, and the dollar amount, and away you go. And that can be, and this can be built on, it can be a simple HTML page, simple page that you put up on a website, or it can be, you can use WordPress, or you can use other platforms like that. Even you could even go to Squarespace or Wix or anything like that, but we don't we don't work in those that much. But that's kind of our do-it-yourself kind of approach. But yeah,
understood. Right. So I like that you said that though, because a lot of authors might be thinking, "Oh my gosh, I am not into technology. I don't know what to do to start a website." But there you go. You just made it assured them it's simple. You don't need to go crazy and get into Squarespace or anything. Just have something out there with your name on it. And there's so many resources out there, including you and your books and everything that you've done, that kind of gives them a stepping stone. So perfect stuff. I'm wondering if you would offer like maybe a tip of advice for any authors out there who might be trying to launch their own website. I mean, I know it's simple, but any really quick tips that they might be that might be useful to them as they get started?
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing is, like I said, keep it simple. There's a lot of templates out there. That's what you're like. You can create just a simple HTML site, which just means there isn't a content management system behind it. There's not a database, not all this stuff. But you would have to have some technical abilities with that. But most people are going to go to like WordPress, or they're going to go to, like I said, Wix or Squarespace, similar like that. And they have there's whole marketplaces full of templates. They call them themes. And you just choose one that's simple, and you just install it. You got to sign up for an account. If you go to Wix or Squarespace, you sign up for an account, and then you simply choose one that looks nice for you. That makes sense with. One of the things you have to do here too is you have to kind of choose a template that is going to match your subject matter and your audience. Like if you're selling to a construction crews, like plumbing and all that stuff, you're probably not going to want something that's a little more feminine and it has lots of flowers and puppies and stuff like that. So it should match your audience. But yeah, but it's really basic like that. So if you go with an agency like us, though, we can do all that for you. We can use things like WordPress that are more self-hosted. I'm not getting real technical here, where we can help you get your domain, help you get your hosting set up, and then install WordPress if you want to use WordPress, and get your theme installed and get it to a point where you can then go in and edit it and stuff yourself and add content, or we can help you with that as well. So there's do-it-yourself routes. There's also you can get an expert like my agency and my team can help you do those things as well and design something real nice and unique.
Yeah, and I can see how the benefit of doing that would be that you've been around the block, you know what's best for what types of books or what type of brand it is, whether it's the puppies like you mentioned or something else. So the benefit is not only the simplicity, but also the expert guidance behind it, which is kind of what we do at Authors on Mission, right? You could write a book yourself or publish it your own too, but you need that expert to kind of help you along the way too, to show they know what works and what doesn't. So it's another benefit of working with you too, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, right. And like there is a design aspect to it. Like I said, you have to, you can't just put anything up.
Yeah.
And so we can help guide that process. And we also do custom design. So there's a lot of templates out there, but the problem with templates can be that everybody's using those templates. So you're not really differentiating yourself or setting yourself apart. But so you can have a website actually designed using programs like Photoshop, Figma, and then translating that design onto WordPress or whatever. And you can go that route as well. So it's very unique. It's going to obviously cost a little bit more to do that, but yeah, otherwise, even choosing a template, sometimes it's good to leave that to an expert to go out and find a good template for you. That's another route too. It's a matter, you can make it, like we can make it a lot easier for you. We would have a discovery call that basically asks you lots of questions, what you're looking for, what you need, who's doing the content, and then step you through that process of setting up the website, choosing the theme or template, and then helping you kind of build out each page and making sure that it's a page that, it's a website that's going to convert. Because it is important. If a call to action, for example, is where you ask for the sale or ask for them to take an action of some kind. And there's good ways to do that and bad ways to do that. So that's where an expert can help out. But the important thing through all that, though, you got to figure out, know your budget, know, what your capabilities are, but to keep it as simple as possible. Once you get something up, then you can always grow it, add more content, do more stuff with it. But yeah.
Understood. So yeah, it seems like, there's a lot of factors to throw in there, a lot of things to think about. But at the end of the day, when you work with somebody and you really plan it out, it could be tremendously beneficial to you and your book. All that being said, Matt, you've seen it work for your own guides as well. I'm wondering if this would be a great way to talk a little bit more about your guide as well. For example, I know you have one specific to strategic partnerships. Is that the one you were mentioning before, the one that really took off?
The one that really took off was the one on affiliate marketing and
marketing
way back in the day.
So we can chat a little bit about that one. The one I know that you also have, and perhaps one of your most recent ones, is that one. It's a 4-pillar system.
Yes.
Too. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll speak to that. Yeah. So hopefully that will catch on fire too and become this big thing. That's why I spent the time writing it. So it's called the Outsourcing Fit Guide, basically. And Outsourcing Fit, unlocking the 4-pillar framework that drives success. And the reason I did that is, so I run an agency now, fast forward to now. And I've been running an agency for 7 years. And in that time frame, I've done a lot of things to get business, but one of the biggest things that I do is I find partnerships, and that's other agencies, digital marketing agencies, or other development agencies, and we fill some kind of gap with them. But I've always done partnerships. Even back to the insurance days, I was a partner with somebody in an agency. When I was doing contracting, I was finding partners. Like I partnered up with somebody that was buying up properties, and my crew would come in and fix those properties up, and we did that. In the internet marketing business, when I said I did those memberships, I partnered with others to do those memberships. And fast forward to today, I partner with other agencies to help them deliver web design development services to their clients. So through all that, though, as I had this agency for the last 7 years, I talked to a lot of other agencies, and I identified like some pain points along the way. And part of the reason I started to focus on agency services because I figured I can solve this for these people. They're having issues outsourcing, a lot of problems, delivery, communication, all these issues. And after a while, I started to see patterns, and I'm like, this is why you're probably having that problem. So when I was thinking about, and I always like the idea of list building and kind of building an audience, and I do a lot of social media content and all that, but I always like the idea of building a list and then, selling info products. And I hadn't really, over the last decade or so, I've been mostly focused on selling services, products, other types of products like software.
Right.
But I'm like, always looking for a way to get back in the info space. And this started to kind of develop in my head. I spent a lot of time thinking about it. And because I always want to visualize, I always want to kind of think like, not only if I'm going to build an info product, but who's the audience? And I have to be able to visualize what the transaction looks like on the other end. So in this case, I'm not selling it yet. I'm using it. The initial version of it is shorter. It's a couple dozen pages. But like that short report I created 20 years ago now, it allows me to kind of measure the interest in it and get feedback on that topic. And what I did is I tried to turn it into sort of a framework. That's why I have the 4 pillars, and that the 4 pillars are really all the things I identified that are very, very important to have successful partnerships, but also to outsource in general. One of the main ones was, building an actual relationship with this other agency or entity. And that's one of the pillars, is building a solid relationship. In other words, you are comfortable with each other. You like each other. You can talk about other things other than business. You can call each other family. And that's one of the things. So what I did is I sat down and I created this report. I kind of thought a lot about it, how I was going to build that framework, because I want to be able to speak to this beyond just writing this report. And I just wrote it. I built the framework. It built it doesn't take long to build. You can really write a report in a day if you really sat down. Of course, there's iterations to it to make it better and better. But and then once I had it solid, then I kind of designed the PDF for it. Had one of my designers actually design that for me, and that was it. So the goal now is I set up that landing page I talked about earlier, a simple squeeze page, and it's a giveaway for free. On the back end, I did connect some things. I have MailChimp, so when they get it, they don't purchase it. When they get it, they're added to my MailChimp list, and then I have a follow-up. I actually have a 1 year of follow-ups, 52 weeks. Every week they get something. It starts to talk about the actual guide itself, but it kind of broadens out over time, starts talking about what else I'm doing. So that's kind of the framework I used.
So I think it's really great that you start small and you build outwards. That was your advice for the websites as well. It's like fishing, I guess you could say. You put the bait out there, see who's interested. Is it useful for people? And then you just keep building on until it becomes something bigger and something larger. That's a really good strategy, I would say. That way you're not wasting your time on something that somebody just might not need to read. It's a great way of testing the waters, I guess, testing the market.
Yeah, and that's what's always worked for me. So let's rewind 20 years. So before that guide was called, it was actually the whole story, but it was called Coin Applied to AdWords. Click Opt-in Network was Coin. Somebody else's idea, but it eventually changed the name to Campaign Blast or Campaign Blasting, Campaign Blast Guide. And but before that, I had written lots of other reports. I had written a report on motivation. I wrote a report on, I don't even remember all the names, like probably a half a dozen at least of all these different reports. And I would try to sell them as well. But usually what would happen is like one or two of my friends, because they felt bad for me, would purchase it. I was only selling it for like $7 probably, or $10. And, but nothing caught fire until one did. And so I just kept iterating on that. And that's how I kind of see this. I think this one is doing really well. But if this didn't work, I would think of another idea. And it kind of has to tie into my business. That's kind of the whole idea here too. It ties into what we do. We're looking for partners. And but anyway, so yeah, it's a great strategy. I mean, that's what's worked for me, and that's kind of how I'm approaching it today. Still.
Hey, and it, like you said, it worked for you. It gave you success, and it's the best way. Sometimes small steps and really being aware of whether or not you're moving forward is just the way to go.
Well, I think the thing is, even when I think about like writing a book, and I know this is like your whole thing, but like when I think about writing a book, that seems kind of overwhelming. Like, I'm going to spend the next 6 months to a year writing this book, or can I start like with something like this,
right,
and see if I can hook people into it and get feedback, and that feedback could inform how I write the book eventually.
Yeah, two things about that. One thing, I get what you mean. It does seem overwhelming to write a book. I can assure everybody listening, if you're trying to debate it yourself, it can be, but not if you take it with the right approach. And Matt, clearly you agree with me that simplicity is number one, it seems like, from what you've said this conversation. It's not overwhelming, just be simple with it. So for writing a book, you can make it as simple as you want. You can get assistance, have somebody else write it for you or work on it with you. But aside from all that, going into what you were just saying about, it can shape the way your content works if you're starting small and then getting bigger. And I like that idea. I have so many clients who come to me and they know they want to write about a topic, and then we get started and then they find themselves running out of things to say, or they find themselves repeating over and over just to fill the pages. So it helps keep your topic relevant too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And kind of test the waters first.
Exactly. So really amazing things. Now, would you think you would ever expand this guide into a full book, or are you pretty much happy with the length of where it all stands right now?
No, I 100% would.
Okay.
And I hope to, right? So I've had this probably out now for, I don't even know, the time flies, 6 months, something like that. And I've tested some traffic to it, some paid traffic a little bit, tested those waters a little bit. But we also do a lot of social media, and I've linked to it. And I actually, had a friend of mine that even grabbed it. One of my follow-up emails, he was complimenting me on one of the follow-up emails. But people are getting it, right? And so I see that interest, and I still see this is I know in my mind there's a lot of people out there that do struggle with this type of thing. And I feel like I have a lot to bring to the table with that. But I can easily visualize how I would expand it. I have case studies in there, like 3, I think. I can
get more case studies, I'm sure. As one example.
Yeah, I mean, like it would be easy for me, like if I was going to expand it again, or if I was going to say, okay, let's turn this into something I would sell. I'm going to go back to those original ones and update them, refresh them with the newest stats and all that, and how we're doing with those partners or in the examples I have in there. And then I would see, are there new ones that I can add to that and maybe expand that area? But then each pillar, I do speak to that pillar, but I could go way deeper into each one and get much more detailed, much more, practical advice and how to implement it, the implementation of it. And so, yeah, there's a lot of ways I could expand on this content and turn it into a full-fledged book. So I can definitely visualize that, and I really would like to do that. Time is always of the essence.
Of course.
So it needs somebody like yourself to help me go there. But it's cool. I mean, I'm proud of the book the way it is. I like the guide the way it is, and I'm getting good feedback. So it is definitely giving me the signal that I could take this to the next stage.
Well, I'm glad that you have that mindset in there, because you're right. You've expanded it from something so small to even larger and larger. And why not keep going with it? If you're finding more content to put in there, more things that have to be said, and more things that the readers really do need to learn, why not take that extra step? And yeah, I mean, whether you do it yourself or if you find somebody else to help you fill in the blanks and really bring it to where it has to be, I agree. It's worth giving it a shot. And then there you go. You'll have an officially published book under your name too. It's another benefit.
Right.
Yeah. And if you're listening today, everybody, if you're also on the fence trying to figure out, do I write my book? Do I not? Do I write a blog post? Matt, I think you have a great strategy here, just starting small and seeing where it goes and seeing where the tide takes you. I'm guessing that's definitely one piece of advice that you'd offer to busy entrepreneurs who just don't have the time to write, but they want to get a book out there. I'm wondering if you have any other tips for writers, being that you've written these guides. Surely there's a very specific type of writing that you need to master to make it so concise, but also getting information across and making it entertaining at the same time. What was your strategy?
Well, through the years, I've building websites and stuff, and especially in the early days when I was doing it for myself, I learned how to write copy. I did study copywriting quite a bit back in the days, not formally, but everything I could get my hands on, books and whatever. But that's on the marketing side and writing sales copy and stuff. But one of the things that I learned pretty early on, I mean, again, I'm like 20 plus years ago, and I cannot remember the name of the program. I'm quite sure it's not around anymore. But there's a particular style of writing that I learned, basically conversational writing. And it's less structured. I took English in college and learned how to structure things properly. But especially writing for the web, there's things you do to structure things, shorter paragraphs, things like that, make things easier to read. Or really making it more conversational, like you're writing this thing to a friend or somebody or somebody in a forum, or these days social media. Talking to somebody and being able to actually read it out loud. And is this how I naturally would, I'm talking right now? Maybe not quite. Maybe a little smoother in the text, but. Just really making it conversational, and so it's easy to consume, and it's not super technical. It's not, boring. Even using emphasizing words, bolding things, italics, just mixing up how the content looks. And so that's why things I like to do. You can't really, in a written book, it's probably a little harder to do that, or a PDF or online, copy websites. It's easier to do that. So I think that's one of the things that I kind of onboarded in sort of how I write everything. Even on the web, even social media and stuff, when I'm writing social media posts and stuff, it's like I try to be conversational and not super structured and perfect.
Right. And I think that goes to show exactly just who you are. You're not looking for perfection. You're looking to get the message across, straightforward, simple. And that's I think the way that most people learn, too convoluted, and it's just going to go over your head. So I get that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I used to I like to write, but I'm not really hyper detail oriented. I'm not really good at proofreading my own stuff. I remember I had that guide, that a couple $100 or a couple of 100-page guide, and I would have members of mine and stuff that would offer for free to go and proofread it for me because they'd find all these errors. I'm like, but I'm in there. I'm just thinking about the concepts and just getting it all down. And I find like writing like that is easy. I write articles too. I have a couple blogs on each of three of my websites. And I probably monthly, I write something for those blogs, and it's kind of the same thing where I start with an idea and I just speak to it and then go back and iterate and structure it, make sure it actually reads well. But, maybe it's more like stream of consciousness, just sitting down and writing it conversationally, like I'm writing a letter to somebody, and then going back and perfecting little areas and stuff. But yeah.
Understood. Yeah, I mean, that's all about what it is. Getting it out there, the editing, the revising, the perfection comes later on. As long as you have your idea, the structure, that's the first step. That's all you can take. But yeah, I mean, Matt, this has been an amazing conversation. I'm really glad we got to chat a bunch about you and, what you do with web design and also your guides too. These are all incredible things that I think relate to all authors out there because we could all use landing page. We can all use similar methods that Matt did, just feeling the waters by creating smaller guides. All incredible stuff. It really shows, your authority on all of this, Matt.
Well, thank you. And hopefully I can come back someday with after I've written that book and have expanded this into something big.
We will put the countdown timer on. We're looking forward to it.
Sounds good.
Yeah. And all right. So, listeners, if you do want to learn more about Matt's web design company or the 4-pillar system we talked about today, or any of his other guides for that matter, you can reach him at the following links that we're going to put in the description box of this podcast today. So find out more by clicking on over there. And, just remember, everybody, whether you're coding a website or writing a manuscript, it all starts with finding your passion, honing your expertise, and taking those small steps towards your goal. Matt told us already, the secret is about just doing the work, starting small, doing it well, and just believing in yourself. So keep that in mind as you move forward today, too. Matt, again, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Of course. And everyone else, until next time, keep reading, keep writing, keep leading. This is Danielle Hutchinson from Authors on Mission Podcast, signing off. We'll see you next time on the show.
This is Danielle Hutchinson reminding you that somewhere, someone needs the book that only you can write. Visit authorsonmission.com to start your legacy. Until next time, keep leading, keep inspiring, and keep thinking in chapters. Have a great day.